Greetings and welcome to another episode of the Lott Carey Wise Digital Couch. This is actually episode 60. Welcome. My name is Doria Larrier, your host for the Lott Carey Wise Digital Couch. And on behalf of our leadership, the Reverend Emmett L. Dunn, who is our Executive Secretary Treasurer, our President, Dr. Jesse Williams, our first Vice President, Dr. James Victor, our second Vice President, Dr. Robert Scott, and the leadership of WISE includes Reverend Dr. Brenda McBurrow, who is our president, Sister Lynette Richardson, who is our first vice president, Sister Minister Brenda Troy, who is our second vice president, and our team leaders, Minister Stephen Edmonds, who is our youth department leader, and Men on Missions team leader, Deacon Charles Monterio. We welcome you. Again, welcome to episode 60. Because this is February in our Lott Carey Wise digital couch life, we have completed 5 entire years of this great work, of these great conversations. And so next month we will begin our 6th year. We're so glad and thankful and blessed to have you here with us. A little housekeeping or church announcements, if you will. Those of you who are following us in Lott Carey Wise Salt Land or Lott Carey Land, if you're watching us live, please drop in the comments where you're hailing from, where you're watching from. Please let us know your city, your state, and your church. And if you're watching us on the replay, let us know how far we have reached. We look forward to reaching all of the continents, especially the continents where we have partnerships in. We are coming up to a few things that are happening in the Lott Carey life. And one is our spring conference, which will be happening next month in March. So we'll have one more announcement about that. But if you know, like I know, the registration link is live. And so just go on lottcarey.org, and you'll see the link for the spring conference. Excuse me. And because it is right before March, we are going to have our 31 days of prayer. And so we look forward to having you join us for each of those days at the respective time, and so that we can connect with each other in prayer and lift up the countries that we have connections to and partnerships with in prayer, and the causes and the concerns that are deep within the heart of those members of the societies. So we look forward to seeing you every day in the next few days. And so here today, we are so blessed and honored to have one of our own. This, of course, is Thursdays in Black. And so thank you so much for being dressed in Black. Please share, and comment this video. And we're going to get into our conversation. So we are joined today by one of our own, Reverend Robyn Monk self. And so she'll be joining us this evening in a conversation with our new theme. And so let's bring her on and say greetings. And then let's get into our conversation for this evening.
Good evening, my sister. How are you?
Good evening. I actually feel like you're my twin. There's a lot of, commonality. Those people who know me in another life, that we would be twinning totally if this was like 10 years ago. So I'm so thankful and grateful that you are here with us this evening. I really, really am. And this literally is going to be a digital couch conversation because Reverend Robyn and we just sort of kicked back and we chit-chatted. So we thought we'd bring this conversation to you. So I'm going to turn it over to her and let her introduce herself because she does it better than I. She's made some moves and done some shifting and some, as we all do, growing, because of course everybody's somebody in Lott Carey. So I want her to let you know what she's working on currently, and then we're going to get into our conversation.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you again for this opportunity to join you for this digital couch conversation. I'm very honored, and congratulations on 5 years. Wow, so much has happened excuse me, in this world. And I'm sure whoever is listening, so much has happened in your personal and professional lives as well. I am primarily residing in Kentucky, an associate minister, still member of Bates Memorial Baptist Church with Reverend Dr. F. Bruce Williams as a senior pastor. I have made my way to and from Kentucky from North Carolina, always shouting out my hometown of Fayetteville, North Carolina, and First Missionary Baptist Church, Moore Street. And just thankful to be a part of the Lott Carey family for quite a long time. Our church historically was very much a part of the Lott Carey work, missional in all its endeavors. And I grew up as a young person in that atmosphere. When I became an adult and served in youth ministry as youth pastor, youth director in various locations, brought our young people to the Lott Carey family, and for a time served in leadership as part of the youth department's leadership team. Amazing time, all the mentorship, exchange of ideas, and opportunities to expose the now generation to missions, one of my favorite things. And as I aged out and transitioned from singleness to marriage and to motherhood, it was also the season of the pandemics. And so during that time, I retired from youth ministry and full-time work to more pastoral care, chaplaincy in hospitals for a while during the pandemic, and then returned to school. I'm completing this semester, my final semester in marriage and family therapy. Amen. Amen. Second master's with the hope to be able to bring the clinical to the congregation and community while also continuing that as a missions field for me. Some of the things that I'm working on now is a coaching and consulting work as a SILC founder, which stands for Spiritually Integrated Life Care and Coaching or Consulting. The idea essentially is to have trauma-informed care and be able to reach folks that either already are actively engaged in mental health, as in have their own therapists, as individuals, as couples, as groups, or as organizations, or they do not and still haven't, maybe for whatever reason, I'm sure we'll talk more in our conversation of empowerment today, have not engaged kind of clinical spaces or have access more of the pastoral care and organizational care. My heart really is to bring Christ in a way and in spaces for leaders and those that serve, leaders in your household, leaders in your relationship, leaders on your job and your community, all the pouring out that we do. There often aren't spaces, safe spaces and brave spaces for us to be poured into, beyond our Sunday morning, Wednesday night, prayer service. Absolutely. This is a both and conversation that I bring, but SILC really serves as a space that I can consult with individuals, couples, families, or organizations, including churches and leadership team, to help empower them, by assessing things like work-life balance, self-care, boundaries, just different ways to practically step back from the busyness, busy with a Y, that often being leaders and caregivers brings us into or invites us to live, instead of continuing to stay in the busyness, but helping to bring more health, holistic health, so mind, body, and spirit. And I believe once we're able to see what is getting in the way of us living our best lives, if you will, we're able to make more informed decisions to get the support we need, to make the decisions that need to be made so that we can be more present and therefore more empowered in any space. And as a coach, I can work from and for anywhere, whereas licensure kind of limits spaces that you can work. Anything else you'd
Well,
like me to share?
I think that is a beautiful opening. It
Uh-huh.
definitely frames our conversation this
Mhm.
evening. And so I wanted to have us, and thank you so much to the people who've already shouted us out. I see Bordentown, New Jersey, First Baptist Church of Lincoln Gardens. Bless you. You thankfully you had a very amazing service these past couple of days. We're still in the afterglow of that beautiful service. Sister Jackie V 2911, thank you for the hearts. Sister Elizabeth Moore, I see you, Sister Elizabeth Moore. Yes, my mother is there. Hi, Mom. Hi, Phyllis Laria. And we're from Salem Missionary Baptist Church in Brooklyn, New York. Go Flatbush. And so, thank you very much to all who are here. Please continue to share this widely with our church congregations. So thank you very much for sharing that and how you've taken your personal passion within the work that we do as lay leaders, as missionaries, as advocates for and the voices for people who may not be able to express the voice that they have.
Mm.
And I can resolve that our work, and I'll say our communal work, has been able to grow within our churches and then also in these convening spaces that in this particular time we're identifying as Lott Carey. And
Mhm.
so I wanted to hop back just for a moment
Sure.
in our the theme for Lott Carey last year under our new president, uh, Reverend Jesse Williams, was Ministry Transforms Through Benevolence. And that was last year's theme.
Okay.
And now it is moved into Ministry Transforms Through Empowerment.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so this definitely ties in with our conversation, as well as it, of course, will bridge across this year, 2026.
Mhm.
So, interrelated to Wise's theme of our 125th year of service,
Hey.
of doing all of this amazing work. And of course, shout out to, again, our president, Dr. Brenda McBurrow, and the work that she is shifting us to and through to with this amazing celebration. And so, of course, we're taking a look back at how women have done air quotes all the things for these 125 years by standing inside the room, outside the room, holding the doors, pushing in the chairs, pulling out the chairs, setting the tables, making sure everybody's, straight. And then we, of course, have to take the moment to make sure that we're straight so that we can make sure everyone else is straight,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so that's some of the great work that we've done in reflection. And now as we're still carrying, waving that amazing, beautiful flag of 125 years. And now we're going into this new season of how ministry is going to transform through empowerment. Dr.
Mm.
Brenda McCarroll sort of shared, we were chatting, and she's like, I think we should look at this through empower her or empower, however you want to say it, right? Empowering her and how we're going to empower the hers and how
Mm.
we're empowering the women, of course, within our organization. Because as we all know, within the Church Universal, women are literally and figuratively the backbone
Mm.
of the church.
Mhm.
Our brothers are there. We're glad that our fathers, our grandfathers, our brothers, our husbands, our partners, our sons, they are there providing that firm foundation, and women are standing beside them doing the work as well. And so as we're doing this being mission minded, our focus tonight is going to be, and again, you're the best person to have this. Again, this is also February, so it's like the month of love, and there's like Black history and all of these other themes that are woven through. So I
Absolutely.
want to take us through like three questions
Okay.
of mission. Oh, excuse me, sorry, I'm trying to say mission and ministry. Mission, and ministry as empowerment? So here's our directed question.
Okay.
So you serve as a minister. That's part of your title. And as a Lott Carey missionary partner, we engage in doing this work locally and globally. And now as a spiritually integrated life coach.
Mhm.
So, how have you seen the theme mission work that transforms when empowerment emotionally, spiritually, and practically is placed at the center of ministry?
I'll start with a little bit of a shout out in history to being invited up and connecting with my time with the leadership team of the youth department at Lott Carey. Um, there were so many gifted, committed, talented, experienced young leaders that were representing different parts of the country and different life experiences that were invited to, I'll call a round table, where people were encouraged to bring their full selves, their gifts, their idiosyncrasies, and invited to name the needs that they saw and the ways that they could approach and add value add to the team. That was the living embodiment for me of what Lott Carey has always been. That everybody is somebody. That you come and bring your full selves. Fast forwarding to the work that I've done with WISE and do in my local areas of influence. So right now, that's my home, local church communities, and school experience. That every space is an opportunity to empower. In my case, by inviting folks to bring their full selves, warts and all, to bring their experience and passions and give space for their humanity as well as room for God to do what God does to help us identify what needs are around um, and to address them in the ways that we know to share together. But before we focus on what is outside of us, for me in the work that I focus on, whether I'm teaching, preaching, consulting, coaching, or studying, um, is the work of empowerment to the individual or the internal, to be able to assess or to look at what is it in simple language, what is it that I need in this moment? Have I given myself that opportunity to access that, to get that, to take that time? One of the things we discussed, Sister Victoria, before it became an official conversation here tonight was just the reality of the pouring out, the pouring out, the pouring out, the pouring out of mission work, where the need is always great. We see it, we want to give, especially when we're doing the work for the Lord. We just want to just give and pour out and give our all. We want to give 110%. The reality is, our capacity is 100% or less. We don't have 110% to give. And I don't believe that's really the standard that God gives for us, not to give, not that we don't give our best, but we become disempowered when we're expecting all of the work to be on us. That is too big a burden to bear. As Christians, we believe the salvation has already happened. And there was a cross to carry, not to die on. Again, that work has already been done. And so I've seen the work of missions and advocacy and empowerment happen when we create space that is accessible, when we create space that allows people to be authentic and that gives room to grow. And so this might feel too general, but I feel like that applies everywhere, especially in spaces where I've gotten to work alongside Lott Carey and other missional groups to do mission work with our hands, with our finances, with our talents, but also in noticing a young person or a woman or someone that may be on the sidelines, that has a passion, that has a gift, that is a whole person with something to offer, to reach out to them and to invite them up. Invite them up. And before you can do all that, or as you do all that, you can't forget that you are also a person that needs space to recover, to rest, and to be invited up.
And it's the pointing out or being able to see out of like your side eye, literally, those other people who like you that have a talent and who might be able to contribute and sort of pulling them along. Because I believe definitely if people are going to invest literally their time and their money in order to travel to come to a convention, they're not literally just sitting there to sort of take in, but
Mhm,
there's a greater number of people who actually want to participate, but they don't necessarily know, especially if they're new to this space,
mhm,
um, what it is that they have to do to get involved. And so, as many organizations nationally, internationally are continuing to build their next layer of leadership, it's extremely important that there are people who are in those seats currently. And we talk about this regularly in all of our organizations to sort of,
mhm,
reach back or reach out to the side and pull across. And
mhm,
then those persons who want to participate to say, hey, oh, I am validated and my skills are welcomed in this space to continue to learn from the greatness, and then also which we would call the tradition, and then as in addition to bring a little bit of innovation to the space without losing um, that sweet savor of what
mhm.
the foundation of the organization is.
Yeah. And could I also add or just clarify, specify that when we're talking about empowerment, it's not just the spiritual need or the relational need or the financial need, the physical needs, all of that is a part. It's also the emotional and the mental. So while my work primarily engages the mental and emotional that we don't always name while we're in this month of February, Love Month and empowerment, recognizing the great and ongoing contributions of Black people everywhere. That it's important that we don't separate, especially for those of us that are representing the church, that we don't separate people into those separate parts. Sometimes we're uncomfortable talking about the physical, sensual being an extension of our missional work, but it is bringing whole people in. So I just wanted to name that so we don't get too far away into the general, but also to ground it that we are whole people with all kinds of parts and should be empowered to bring all of that to the table, not be afraid of it.
Thank you, thank you.
Mhm.
So let's sort of, I guess, dig a little deeper
Sure,
with
sure.
doing some of the inner work to serve the world, I suppose. So especially that you're naming that, yes, we come with, and I'm going to use a colloquial term, but it's very important to name it here. That
Mhm,
when you repeatedly say to bring your whole self, and
mhm,
we've heard the other word of like your authentic self,
mhm,
that first we, and I guess I'm referring to, we're still in the process of breaking some molds of expectations of what even ministry can look like, and who we are ministering to, and who we're actually bringing to the table, who we're bringing down the aisle, who we're bringing, into the pews. And so before we can serve the world, there's some inner work that we have to do. And I'll name something very, very simple that just resonates with me. And because my mother's here, I could talk about this.
Okay.
I am of a, I'm of a tradition. I'm of a black church tradition where it's still a little difficult for me to wear pants going into the sanctuary.
Mm-hmm.
That's that's just how I was raised. So
Mm-hmm.
I remember a couple of years ago, and I forgot what happened, but I think we were expected to have our choir rehearsal in like what we consider the music room. So that's no big deal. We could walk pants in there. And someone was like, "Oh, we have to go into the sanctuary." And then a couple of us had pants on, and we were like, can we? Like, can we? And now there are, of course, a whole lot of churches where it's like, hey, if I go up or if I walk in there with my church suit on, people kind of look at me like, "Ooh, you're a little overdressed." And I'm thinking, what happened to you? But just being able to sort of be comfortable in yourself that
Mm-hmm.
what is the inner work that you need to do so that when you're walking into another place, space, time, geographical, political space, that you recognize the lenses that you're walking in with, so that when you then go to try to support or come alongside another group of people, that you kind of, as we literally and figuratively say, check your attitude at the door, because
Mm-hmm.
then that can make or break the ministry that you're attempting to offer to a group of people. So, Women in Service Everywhere, WISE, we affirm that we cannot, as we just spoke about, we cannot pour into others without first doing our own healing and our own growth. And how does your coaching work help individuals, especially Black women and leaders, become whole so they can serve families, churches, and communities with greater clarity and compassion?
Another story, shout out to my HBCU first master's experience at Shaw University Divinity School. And shout out to Reverend Dr. Shaniqua Walker Barnes, who is a psychologist and professor, theologian, and all those things that was one of her first students, and she brought up to me in that space as teacher, as student, as we talked about bringing pastoral care to African American families, um, recognizing the culture and the needs and history, legacy that's specific to our experience, especially here in America, was the first person to open up for me the greatest commandment in a way that included me in it. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. And she slowed down with that text in front of our class, that as that is an invitation and a commandment for us as well, to, in practical, grounded, everyday ways that matter to us and our needs, mind, body, and spirit, to invest in ourselves. According to that text, we are second. We are second after God. We are
Oh,
first.
okay.
We are
I was like,
first.
second to who?
Mhm. Just wanted to marinate on that. We are first in human order, which socially, as women, especially as
Hmm.
Black women that have, been lauded, been lifted up for the making bricks without straw, the working 50, 11 jobs, the
50, 11 jobs.
managing the household, managing our spouse, managing, just expected to do all these things with the cape on, as Superwoman. That was never Jesus' way or invitation. And so, in the being able to pour out, now the reality is there are plenty of isms that we face. The reality is money answers all kinds of things in this world, and there are many things that we as Black women are forced in position to do or overdo just to try to survive. However, the challenge is for us to thrive in love for God, love for ourselves, love for the mission, whether that looks like parenthood, whether that looks like work in corporate world, whether that looks like church world, whether that looks like community, whatever space we enter, it is pertinent that we are second only to God, first. Now, I know if you all were raised, those that are out there listening, like I was, in spaces where we were missional, we worked, we did, that was not the message that you may have caught. It may not have been explicitly taught. It may have been explicitly taught, but for sure caught that somehow we are supposed to always be completely and utterly self sacrificial. Unfortunately, it is bad theology because if we, as kind of conversation or example that's used a lot, if we don't have our oxygen mask on, then we don't have long before there's nothing we can do for anyone. The psalmist talk about, I can't praise you, Lord, from the grave, as in I want to live. Like I want to be able to be present. And in order to be empowered, first, seeking God for those places that can't be touched by earthly things, that don't get that don't pour into us. The world just asks us to pour out, pour out, pour out, and seeking God first for the big picture, to say the things that you can't say anywhere else is absolutely one of the many things I love about God and having a relationship with God. And then there are things that each of us needs. And it is not selfish or sacrilegious to acknowledge the things that we need, things that work for us, things that don't work for us, to let us be our best selves, our most authentic selves, our most present selves, our most healthy selves, so that if we would focus on those things, it's amazing. Each time I've done or brought in spiritually integrated self care or this wonderful resource that I know Lott Carey is familiar with, the sacred self care, in my clinical work or in my pastoral care work, in my coaching work and consulting work, that when we've had a group of people and I've invited them to consider themselves first, the fear often comes up is that, oh, well, all the things are going to fall apart. What needs to get done and addressed won't happen. I don't have time for that. That's a privilege for other people, not me.
Right, right.
Miracle, and I believe is a very biblical idea, is when we put it back in right order, then we become clear on what is our work and what's not our work. Our work becomes more purposeful, more focused,
And not just busy work.
not just busy work. So, especially as Black women, the strong Black woman complex, the superwoman complex, those ideals that have been put on us so that we can continue to be work mules to produce and carry with no compensation, that's not of the Lord. That's not of the Lord. I'm sorry. Am I touching some things might be controversial? I'm all right. Rev Robyn listens at proton.me if you want to. We could talk more about it. I love it.
But I'm gonna put that in the chat. Go ahead.
But yes, there were times where with previous, I'll say with church leadership teams, that's really what I really love to do, is see empowerment turn into healing on a generational level, that changes the direction of people's lives, Black women especially, but families to be able um, to be well, like to live the abundant life Christ model for us. It doesn't mean that struggles don't happen, just means we are in a better position to be able to address them. But as I've worked with church members, there have been people who recognize that work had become way too much a priority, or an idol, if you will, not even meaning for it to be. The work independently by your own bootstraps, pull them up, kind of all of those ideals, those philosophies are not what lead us to better health, better empowerment, being more present. That's to be able to work for someone else as a number until your usefulness runs out. But to see people so moved and transformed, of course, in partnership with the Holy Spirit and with these practical tools and reminders that this is a way of living, um, kind of a more Sabbath filled life, a rest, a divine rest that we're all promised, is that people were making decisions, changing jobs, saying no. So that they could say yes to the more important things, making healthier decisions, not only for what others may expect, but for what is needed in their particular household at their season of life. People have come up from sick beds after they had worn themselves out in exhaustion, trying to do, generally with a good heart, great intentions, trying to do the work of the Lord, but without the power, if it's only out of our own strength and for someone else's expectations. I've seen people reconcile in their families and their romantic relationships, and I've seen more capacity, the church capacity grow because people were doing less busy work and doing more of the business of the mission.
And right, and I love that the statement of like doing less so that they can do more. So one thing
Mhm.
that popped into my head is, and this is in certain organizations, other organizations that I participate in, people will always hear me say, "I'm a fan of the ad hoc committee." I am a fan of the ad hoc committee.
Mhm.
Listen, just come in and do one thing and then put
Mhm.
it down and like go take a rest. It's okay.
Mhm.
Because if you do your little bit and
Mhm.
somebody else does their little bit, it'll work out. But to burn yourself out by trying to, what's the phrase? Like drive until the wheels fall off. Yeah, your wheels
Mhm.
are gonna fall off, and then who's gonna be there to pick you up?
Right,
So,
right.
right, right. The other thing that pops into my head is whoever the sister is, and you may know faster than I, or if somebody knows in the chat, who is the let's say the designer or the curator of the nap ministry,
Oh,
the nap, like taking
yes.
a nap.
Yes, yes, yes,
That
yes.
sister, and I think there's like a, I don't know, some sort of like a conference or whatever, or some like groundswell, if you will, right now about the nap ministry. I don't know if it's like a 10-year anniversary or whatever, but I saw something come across my feed, and I was like, thank God for that woman. Thank
Absolutely.
God for that woman, that she is just giving people the head nod, not that you're falling asleep, but the head nod that, yeah, rest is resistance.
Yes.
And it's also rest
For
is
sure.
needed for
Amazing.
restoration,
Amazing.
right? In order to do this work. And so, do we need to have, and this is within the Black church, this is within mission work, because again, let me just say, I'm thinking about myself. If anybody else wants to sign on, that's fine. Like drop a heart in the chat or what have you. But that and I'm now thinking about global mission work, like traveling and doing the immersive study or what have you, when you have to sort of get your mind ready to just pack up, get on a plane, know
Mhm.
that you're going wherever in
Mhm.
order to serve. Primarily, you're going to serve versus going to rest like you're going on vacation. And then people are thinking, man, I may need a vacation before I go to get my mind right. And then a vacation after I come back because it's a lot. Knowing that you're going to go travel and do that type of work, of course, it takes a special person. Everybody doesn't literally can't stomach it. They
Mm-hmm.
may not have the wherewithal, they may not have the whatever. But to go and to do that type of work, of course, emotionally, and whether you talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs and where you are in life and whatever, but to
Mm-hmm.
go and do that work, it literally is energy. It can be energy depleting, but it can also be energy restoring. And just
Absolutely.
knowing that you get to see, depending on where you go, you get to see that what you think, the little that you have, and this isn't new to anybody here in the Lott Carey world, the little that you may think you have is 10 times more than, depending on where you go, than what
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people have. But then you also see that they're not even sweating that they don't have, that they may not have the 20 pairs of shoes that you may have in the closet, depending on where you go, right? Because we're not going to stereotype and think that everywhere that we go is much, 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 much different from what we have, but that which you can see. Uh, but then also recognizing that, hey, yeah, that's a lot, and to just come back and sort of segue back into your regular life, and not have someone to say, take a minute, let's process this.
Mm-hmm.
What were your experiences? How does that shift how you were raised? How did that shift what you were exposed to? How does that shift what you're expected to do, to be, to feel? How does that look now that you're back in your church pews, wherever those church pews are? How are you going to translate what you do later on in terms of your own mission work back home to continue to serve that place that you may have visited? What are the lessons? You need someone, which is why the digital couch is here, to just allow you to kind of like lay back and say, ooh, I got to talk about that because that
Mm-hmm.
was heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So that we don't go to back to business as usual or life as usual, thinking that that was like a television show that I can just switch on or off. No, that's somebody's real life while I'm sitting here on my couch or on my veranda or on my back porch with a sip of lemonade.
Mm-hmm.
And my little, outdoor space is basically could be literally everybody's four walls.
Mm-hmm.
For us to go do that sort of work and then come back and thinking, up, business as usual, then was that really mission work? I don't know. I'm just saying. I,
That's
who am I?
often, yeah, often in those encounters, and I appreciate our viewer on YouTube that named shifting from mission work, because that sounds like more obligation and weight to an encounter. Absolutely agree, because when there is an encounter, not only is there a positive impact in the people and places where we have served, that it is a change that happens to us, where we have a different perspective, a more holistic perspective. And when you were talking, I thought about um, being blessed to be able to travel and having the ability to travel in different cultures all over the world. And one thing about Americans is we are taught to overconsume, to overcommit, to fill up beyond the brim. And when I'm at conferences or talking about this, I wonder how much stuff emotionally, physically, financially, we have that junk drawer or that junk room or that closet that we just
Mm-mm.
kind of keep the door closed. um, go past, don't think about it, it's not there. But thought about part of empowerment is laying aside the weight of the things that hold us back from focusing,
Mm.
Oftentimes that's preached about, the sin in our lives, but uh, we don't often think about the the over that's in our lives that's getting in the way, whether it's literally stuff, accumulating stuff that's keeping us from having room to give, or
Mm-hmm.
having more peace in our homes and our places that we travel, our vehicles, or whatever, our jobs. If there's too much stuff, again, that's busyness, whether it's visual or financial or social, whether there are activities or relationships that we kind of keep the door closed on, we don't deal with, and it just accumulates, and that gets in the way of us being able to be as strong and focused, because so much of our energy, as you named energy, is being drained by those other things we may focus on. To get back to the mission, can include, again, simplifying. Don't want to say minimizing, but simplifying. Like, what, if you looked around, um, what do we have too much of? How could we bless someone else? It may not be a full trip to Australia or to the motherland, to the diaspora. You
Mm-hmm.
maybe, and I don't mean to step on toes, maybe somebody else could use one of the 75 pair of shoes we have. Or maybe, I'm talking about myself. Maybe,
You know she's talking about us out there.
maybe um, there are such gifts that we have to give that the extra is getting in the way of us being able to see it.
Mm-hmm.
It's been up on that shelf for how long?
Mm-hmm.
Dust is collected. There's this dream that we've had, this gift that we have to teach or to, um, help empower someone else to have the skills to learn from our experiences, to know that it is going to be okay, that has had broken relationships, that has had, dealt with poverty or poverty mindset, that has dealt with scarcity, that has dealt with the racism, the sexism, the phobia, homophobia, different things. Like, there is so much in us, and I promise I'm just preaching to myself. And if you're blessed by it, say amen, Ashe. But and
You
help
you
somebody else
stepping on toes. Look, you stepping on toes.
that it's still a learning, and it is levels to this. I was exposed over 25 years ago to this initial lesson that we are called, we are empowered by God, God's own self, to love God with everything we've got, and to love others as we love ourselves. That's not always some big fantastical thing. It's sometimes simple, giving ourselves a chance to have daily timeouts. This is a tip I always give to to our leadership teams, or anyone that's caregiver, and I find myself in those spaces a lot, just around them, whether I'm in front or just amongst the population. A Baptist, a wife of a Baptist pastor, once told me, if you want to start creating space for yourself, decide when, put the word something on your calendar. So then, when someone tries to fill the space, especially if we have a hard time saying no, when we need to say no, put something down and you say, you know what? I've got something on the calendar. Nobody needs to know the details.
Wait a minute. High five. High five. Okay. Okay.
She's still blessing me this many decades later. Um, Another thing, just these are just tips. Pass them on if they're good to you or could bless somebody else.
I'm gonna type them in
Consider,
the chat.
all right, consider, because many of us, especially like women, to get stuff done and have to manage so many different spaces, keep a running to do list. What if we started having also a to don't list? It may seem opposite or contrary to being able to do the work of mission, but essentially a to don't list helps set some boundaries for ourselves, that there are certain things we're not going to do. Again, having those down is absolutely healthy. If you're looking at Jesus as our model of how to live and to love in this world while we're here, and to prepare the generations that will be here when we're gone to love and to live, Jesus sat down quite a bit, slept, took his time, even in severe
I have to
grief.
tell you, my little timeouts, my timeouts become laying across my bed, and then it's like it's the next morning. So if anybody was expecting me to do something this past week and I didn't do it, I'm sorry. I laid across my bed. I took the time out. Reverend Robyn said, and it was 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay,
Listen, your body and brain
I did.
obviously needed it. We are not the Energizer Bunny that keeps going and going and going, especially as we age, but even when we're young. And learning that skill early can help break, I dare say, some generational curses, of feeling like we're only as valuable as how much we do, how much we
Mm.
produce. So
Let
God
me
made us.
fold my arms and start rocking on that one.
Again, this is a life lesson that I continue to learn and have to relearn as more opportunities come, as more people are I'm responsible for, family and all those type of things. But we are called to live, and Sabbath is part of our life. What that looks like in our everyday are some of the things that we're talking about. We are not called to work 25 hours a day, 8 days a week. That's what the kingdom of this world call us to. We're never enough. We're always bigger, better, faster, more. That's the world's message. That's a different kingdom. But the kingdom of God, this family of faith, it makes a difference. Like, look what happens in our world, jumping kind of more to the political social that's going on. When the 92% said, you know what, we're not going to be fodder for somebody else's fight. You've got to learn. Look at the shifts that have been happening. People are healing and then able to see where locally, where statewide, where federally, where internationally to put our energy, our votes, our monies, learning how to get back to basics, simplifying our life. Like it makes a difference. And it's very empowering. Again, it's countercultural. Rest is resistance. It's absolutely countercultural to focus on loving ourselves in a practical way first. But it is the best kept secret that I hope will stop being a secret for the way that we live, to not waste time, energy, or resources, because we're more grounded, more centered, more in the way that I believe we're all called to go. So, yeah, I know we're running out of time, but thank you so much for giving that room to talk about it.
So if I am the only person in here that thinks this is just session number 1 on the couch, then call me Eve. But I think that this is just the beginning of having Reverend Robyn to come and bless us with our own little couch session, in the air quotes. Because as people who do ministry, people who do mission work, quote, in the name of Jesus, the Lord is going to give us all the energy in order to do all the bunny, energize the bunny things. But realistically, then we're like passed out on Monday morning because we done been started from Thursday night through Sunday evening with the third service on Sunday going. And then we supposed to be showing up on Monday morning in the name of Jesus. When are we
Yes.
supposed to take a nap? I'm just
Yeah.
asking. When I could do that 15 years ago, but today
I
I
mean,
need to
it's
recover sometimes on afternoon from the weekend I had.
a great to be happy and honored. And I know there are plenty of, mental health professionals that are part of the Lott Carey family. But I would be honored to continue to help the helpers in this way by bringing up. It's a challenge. It goes against even sometimes our church culture that has gotten caught in the trap of just doing without built in. Um, Refreshing, recovery, rest, Sabbath built in. So please do reach out. I'll be honored to consult and figure out together with the Lord's help what would be best and fit best, custom fit for your particular organizations, group, family. Just want to see us well. Just want to see us well.
And that we need to do this mission work, and we need to do it well. We need to empower ourselves so we can work on empowering other people. But if the mission is going to work to transform through empowerment, got to put that oxygen mask on yourself before you go to try to, come alongside somebody else and help them out.
That's right.
Because that'd be a shame. You're going over somewhere else to try to help them, and they like, sis, you need some water. You need some water.
Absolutely.
You look
Absolutely.
dehydrated. Let me give you ice back, okay?
Listen,
And I may
eat,
be joking, but I'm not.
yeah,
Work.
it's biblical. Eat and take a nap. The prophets was told, eat something and lay down, do it again, and then you have the strength to go
Go lay
back.
down.
Mm.
So we thank you. We thank you so much, Reverend Robyn. We definitely look forward to, I guess, seeing you at the upcoming events and places and spaces whenever your schedule can allow. We know that you are in full family mode and baby girl mode, and all those exciting growing and shifting and morphing, transforming worlds. And so we're just very blessed and honored that you were able to take some little time during this month, the month of love, month of Black excellence. We have Black excellence, right? Wrong way. Right here on our couch, right here on the digital couch. So again, if there's any questions or comments, I'm definitely going to put your email up again. Let me just put it up. It is right here. Here we go. There we go. So Rev Robyn listens at proton.me. Rev Robyn listens at proton.me. Please, send her an email, ask her for the menu of options that she has available. Even though she's either in North Carolina or Kentucky, she can do a Zoom chat. She can
Absolutely.
come in and, chat with your church, ministry group, what have you. Let us work with the Black excellence that we have within our own convention, that we have in our own church community, before we go outside the walls.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Amen.
So peace and blessings to everyone. Reverend Robyn, a last word, and then we'll take it to the next conversation.
Thank you all. Love you all, and love yourself well. Can't wait till the next time we gather together again.
All right. Peace and blessings. So Reverend Robyn, hold tight. Let me just say goodbye to our community. Okay, lovely people. It has been amazing to have Reverend Robyn here, to have her bless us with some good conversations, some good reminders about empowerment and how our ministry here in Lott Carey, and even you within your own pew and, the pulpits that you that you reign in, whatever those are, whatever parts of the church that you reign in, and how we need to make sure that we empower ourselves in order to make sure that our ministry, locally, nationally, globally, can take the next step and do the next thing. So until, I think I have one more comment. Oh, thank you. Oh, so she's still in the background. So Dr. Angelina said, hug Ava Marie for me. She's giving me a thumbs up in the background. Excellent. Thank you so much. And yes, we all want to give all the aunties want to give Ava Marie a hug. That's baby girl for Reverend Robyn. If you don't know, now you know. So we look forward to seeing you next month. And again, if you're going to show up, please keep your notifications on in Lott Carey Wise Salt in the Facebook group. Check your emails because you'll be getting some information about the 31 days of prayer, which will start bright and early on March 1st. So we will also have the prayer call that morning, and then we will also have the beginning of the 31 days of prayer. Remember, every single day for the whole month of March, we will have our 31 days of prayer. There'll be teams, working with each day. If you've already got your notification, make sure you set your alarm so you can wake up on time so you can be a part of the day. We look forward to seeing you again. This is an amazing opportunity just to continue to bless people locally, nationally, internationally with what God has put in our hearts and our minds to do. So continue to be mission minded, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.